Hi, I'm Michael Yardney, and I know there's a school of thought that suggests that the way to take the emotion out of your property purchase is to do all your research on the internet, and then you don't really even need to see the property in the flesh. Advocates of this strategy suggest it opens up your investment property search, from locations, not only locations in your backyard, but to virtually anywhere in Australia. And by taking the emotions out of the equation, you can make decisions based purely on facts and figures. But to me, that's a sure recipe for disaster. I can see their point of view. In my mind though, buying a property sight unseen is a recipe for disaster. Sure, you can do your virtual tours on the internet, download the statistics, but how many times have you seen an ad for a property that looked really great in the photos, done the virtual tours, but when you eventually physically inspected the property, found it looked nothing like what you expected? Isn't it interesting how those wide-angle lenses make rooms look a lot bigger, or somehow or other omit those shots of the derelict house across the street? In fact, I remember inspecting one property that looked great on the web, but when we got there, they had that great big power pole and an electric substation right next door. There was another one that had those high-tension power cables behind them. So both of these things considerably devalued the properties we looked at. The problem is not all properties are like shares. You can buy any share in BHP and it'll be the same. But every property in the same street isn't the same, is it? There are some streets where the value of properties differ considerably, even from one side to the other. I can think of one fantastic street in Sydney where properties on the north side have got magnificent views of the Sydney Harbour and the water, and properties on the south side have got magnificent views of the properties on the north side. They've got magnificent views of the harbour and the water. In that street alone, properties are valued about 25% difference from one side to the other. So if you accept my point that only about 5% of properties are investment grade properties, then you really need to do on the ground inspection and have knowledge and do your due diligence carefully for any property you purchase. But there is a solution. As you grow your property portfolio and you start to diversify and look at properties interstate, you might not be able to physically inspect every property yourself. That's why it's worth having an experienced buyer's agent as part of your team, acting for you, levelling the playing field. And particularly so in our current hot property markets, where many investors find the real estate landscape is stacked in favour of the sellers, because that's whom the agent's working for, of course. While the hunt and the chase of finding investments and negotiating with agents can be exciting, it'd be nice to have all the skills to choose the right property, but sometimes it's worth considering engaging the services of a buyer's agent to do the research and all the wheeling and dealing for you on your behalf. You see, good buyer's agents buy and sell property and negotiate property prices all the time. It's their job. Well, you've probably done it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in your life. Now, sure, I'm biased because I head the team at Metropole, but I've seen great results achieved by a team for both beginners and, for many experienced investors. Now, I can think of a great example for one of our clients from Melbourne that we were looking for to buy a property in the inner western suburbs of Sydney. I sent Steve up to our Sydney office because he'd already owned a few properties in Melbourne, and he was excited. This was a great property that he saw on the internet, and he saw all the details about it. And in fact, he contacted our Sydney team about this particular property because he thought it ticked all the boxes. And initially, when our team looked at it on the internet, that's not the normally way we do it. We normally find the properties, but Steve found it, and the team saw some great photos, some great floor plans. It had a balcony, an internal laundry, small boutique block. So they contacted the agent to arrange an inspection. And when our buyer's agent arrived at the property, she was actually impressed initially as well. But it wasn't until she actually entered the property that she noticed that the living area was tucked away around the corner with no windows, no open light. So even though we inspected it in the middle of the day and all the lights were on, that section, the living part of the property, of the residence, was dark. There was no natural light entering that part of the room at all. Clearly this property wasn't worth the same as a similar property in the same building with a better orientation. It could have been worth $25,000, $40,000 less. By the way, we didn't purchase this property, and I hope the person who did buy it didn't buy it sight unseen. So if you're looking to take advantage of growing your property portfolio in these interesting times, this interesting market, why don't we get some independent advice from the team at Metropole? No one's better positioned to help you with offices in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane and affiliates in Perth. We've got access to every property on the market, but no properties for sale. and we've been involved in over $1 billion worth of property transactions over the years to assist our clients grow their wealth. Give us a call at Metropole at 1300 20 30 30 or at our website at metropole.com.au.